What? Somebody help me take the shadows away.
I'm gonna feed you the hat, man.
The what?
The hat, man.
Is that like a man?
Alright, so later we gotta do like 16 Benadryl each, and then we're gonna meet the hat, man.
I don't recommend that. For a number of reasons. Welcome back to the Lore Lodge.
It's important to put yourself in the right frame of mind in the holiday season.
Define right frame of mind, my friend.
Benadryl-induced hallucination state.
For legal, moral, and ethical reasons, I'm going to
in Minecraft.
In Minecraft, there we go. I'm going to
be
adamant.
We're going to. So anyway, I mean, I obviously we're going to talk about what the title of the video is, but I do kind of need to open this up with just the fact that Tucker Carlson just casually said the CIA killed Kennedy this week.
Oh. Well,
and then Robert, I think it was Robert Kennedy Jr. was like, you know, just came out and said it. He was like, Tucker's right. Like, these are not people on the same side of the political spectrum. Like, the Kennedys and Tucker Carlson are not, like, allies. And they're just we're at that level of
hating the CIA.
The world is going down in flames, and I am here for the ride. I am bringing the marshmallows. We are making s'mores in the smoldering ashes of the IRS building, in Minecraft.
I thought you were gonna say in the embers after the Oppenheimer recreation on the set of Chris Nolan's new film.
Oh. That's what I mean, though. What? When I recreated the Trinity test without CGI, I was like, hold on. What does that mean?
I mean, I know what it means.
Nolan out here doing the first private nuclear test ever.
To be fair, for film. To be fair, if anybody was going to do it, it'd be him. But I guarantee it wasn't nuclear.
Yeah. But I just my point in bringing up the Tucker Carlson, John Kennedy, CIA thing, is that a few weeks ago on the show, we said the CIA killed Kennedy.
Yes.
And then, you know, I think Tucker was watching, is my point. Is we are now influencing politics. I say this also because somebody shared a meme with me that showed that it was like an Alex Jones meme, and it was about, like, you know, skinwalkers running the FBI or something, and I was like, we're there. Like, we are affecting politics now.
We're making a difference.
we have made things positively silly.
Oh, let's just hope that we do not get too silly and or goofy for our own good.
I do worry sometimes if perhaps perchance we have been too silly and or goofy for our own good.
I think there's only so many times we're legally allowed to say that the CIA killed the Kennedys before the CIA also kills us.
Yeah.
Or disgraces us publicly somehow.
I think we just should avoid grassy knolls.
Yes.
You know, and perhaps also motorcades through Dallas. But, I mean, it's not like there's going to be an important motorcade through Dallas anytime soon. They're not exactly winning football games recently.
And even more topical in news.
Woo! I don't know if y'all were watching the game earlier today. The Eagles, I'll say this, it was not a pretty win, but watching Dallas lose on a pick six in overtime warmed my soul. And to the Jaguars. The 5-8 Jacksonville Jaguars. Doug Peterson was an Eagles coach today.
Love that.
Like,
love that.
But, you know, now that we've made some jokes about the assassination of John F. Kennedy by the CIA and the assassination of Dallas's playoff dreams by the Jacksonville Jaguars, we have to think we need to talk about what.
Kat said LMAO CIA Top Journalism Award. You got a point.
Yeah, I'm a little scared.
Yep.
I'm a little concerned. If I ever disappear,
it's gonna be both of us.
Somebody take care of Archie.
Yeah. just for the sake of our dog.
Yeah, he's just sitting over in the corner. If you guys can see this, Archie is sitting in the corner of the room. He has a piece of sound paneling somehow on his face.
Again?
I think it might be the same piece.
I
He might
think
just
it
be
is.
grabbing it while I'm not looking.
Oh, no.
No, he's just got... Oh, he seems to have torn a sound panel up and the pieces are strewn everywhere.
Oh, by the way, in terms of upgrading the setup yet again, the next rendition, Mark III, or I guess Mark IV, Mark V.
Who's Mark?
I don't know, but there's a lot of them. We're going to get an Archie cam and have him in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
So, just as a fun little heads up on that
We will bring you Archie Cam to the people soon.
Mm-hmm.
Which is important because he deserves to be viewed.
He does. And maybe with the Chartmander, too.
Where are his feet?
They're under him.
He's currently just kind of a loaf.
He is.
Loafy boy.
He's a... he's
all
an
right.
ivory loaf.
Yes, an ivory loaf. It's a Yule log. That's gonna be Friday's video. Is where we're doing. I think we'll do like top 3 Christmas cryptidness.
Something like that,
Yeah. So you guys are getting another video on the Yule lads.
Joke's on you, it's actually just going to be us photoshopped to be Yule logs. So instead of these logs, you're just going to see us horizontally laying in a fireplace on fire. The Yule lad logs.
Oh god.
The lore
The
lad
lore
Yule
log?
lad logs.
The lore log?
The lore log.
We're okay. Topic.
We're
we
tired.
have a topic.
We're very tired today. I got to see a train today, and I was very happy about it.
I had to. Well, I actually didn't really participate in the actual activity of the pasta making, but we made gnocchi.
Oh, that's right, you did.
Yeah. I was. In
I
charge
learned
of
what that
other
was
things.
this weekend.
You didn't know what it was?
Never heard of it before in my life.
All right, I have some in the freezer. So
No, Kat made gnocchi stew for me on Friday because we did.
She made a stew.
Yeah, that was good. It was really good. Yeah, we did a little Christmas Eve thing. Yeah,
The vegetarians have gotten out of control, substituting meat for gnocchi.
Oh no, there was meat in it too. There was venison in it. Oh yeah.
Okay. All right.
I
You're making me hungry, and I literally just ate.
know. It
Okay.
was so good.
Anyway, please excuse the lack of focus and fact that we're exhausted.
Yes.
We actually do have a topic for tonight. It's a very serious topic. Wanted to start with some levity for that reason.
Yeah, we
because-
figured we'd get the goof out first.
Yeah. For those of you who have not seen Friday's video, it is on the MMIW phenomenon, which is the epidemic of violence and trafficking of Native American women,
Mhm.
which has for a very long time gone unaddressed in the United States and Canada. Canada is starting to actually open up a little bit more about its past treatment of Native Americans. They used to not talk about it, and
Mhm.
it was not good. So they're making some strides too. But a lot of people hear about this issue, and one of the things I most commonly hear is, well, it's still probably mostly violence within the community, and it's their fault for not tracking it down. They have their own police. Why is it the FBI's job? It's more complicated than a lot of people realize. There are jurisdictional issues that interfere with the ability of both tribal, state, and even federal police to actually do anything about the issue. And as a result, stuff that would get investigated typically does not. Instead of, a murder case in any city in America, no matter the size, is going to be intensely and very heavily investigated to the utmost extent that it can be with the resources at hand. What?
That corruption allows.
Well, yeah, but you get my point.
Yes.
Most of the time, murders actually do get investigated.
Yes.
In the case of the MMIW phenomenon, they often don't even get investigated. Like, not even... And it's because they can't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a number of factors. One, externally, in terms of the jurisdiction of any American, in terms of like the United States of America, their capabilities are limited on a reservation because they don't have jurisdiction. And then the issues with on-reservation jurisdictions is that even though they have tribal police and detectives, they are severely understaffed and underfunded, So even if there are people dedicated to trying helping these people and finding out, not the solutions to the problems, but finding answers to these questions or these missing people cases or the murders and things like that, they just it's like trying to find a needle in a haystack. But the problem is that every time you pull out one needle, you learn that there are 6 others in there that you have to go find. So
yeah, also you gotta talk louder. I'm watching your little bar. You're like, you're like.
should I project?
Yeah,
a little better?
You probably should.
Yeah, that's fine. I can. Sorry, I'm used to using my inside voice this week.
No inside voice. Hit him with that booming baritone.
Well, if I'm warming up, I guess. All right. Yeah, but the problem is it's just lack of resources on the res, and then lack of jurisdictional ability outside of the res.
And to an extent, you gotta wonder how deliberate that is. I was looking at some of the laws, and in some cases, they do stem from distrust between the natives and the settlers, for lack of a better term.
Yeah.
Native police don't typically trust state and federal police to help, or when they do, they're at least wary of it. So part of it is distrust on the native side, and part of it is the lack of attention from the American side. I mean, this is a well-known problem. Well, a well enough known problem that you would expect, there to be at least a Bureau of Indian Affairs task force dedicated to it. It took until 2019 for us to get. Let me see if I have it somewhere in here. The actual name of the program. The Presidential Task Force on Missing and Murdered Indigenous American Indians and Alaska Natives. Took until 2019 for that to actually form. Arguably, the only reason it formed is that if there's one thing that the Trump administration really nailed, it was their anti-trafficking efforts. Mm-hmm. I think it was like human trafficking arrests went up 800% in the first in the first year.
In the first year?
Yeah, like that was it. Like that was one thing that indisputable. That was good. Like for all the faults of that presidency, that was a good target. That was something that they nailed, and the Biden administration has continued it to their credit. A lot of the time you'll see these new projects get cut or slashed or just like repealed just so they can start their own version of it. They kept it in place. That's a good example of just strong bipartisan response.
It would be beyond concerning and suspicious for anybody to be like, yeah, let's defund efforts to stop human trafficking. It's like, I'm sorry, you wanna give us some reasons why you might want to do that?
Yeah, it would have been political suicide to get rid of it.
Yeah,
honestly.
exactly.
But yeah, so you might be sitting here and going, why? Why is there distrust on the native side?
History.
You and I have the benefit of a very good education growing up.
Yes.
A lot of people do not. And the version of history between Native Americans and white Americans that a lot of people get is the Thanksgiving story. The Pilgrims taught the Americans how to grow food, and they all had a nice Thanksgiving together.
Yep. There were no trails or tears involved.
Yeah. And when you do learn about that stuff, it's, a passing unit in U.S. history in high school.
Yeah.
And they're like, this was bad, and we're sorry, and da, da, da.
Mm-hmm.
The Indian Removal Act, of course, was 1832, I want to say.
Okay.
Under President Jackson. President Jackson argued that he was doing it for the good of the Native Americans of the southeastern United States, and that they were getting the conflicts with the actual states themselves. Yeah. And eventually it might lead to war.
And remind me, and all of us, I guess, what the geographical movement was from where and to where.
It was from basically eastern Tennessee down through Florida.
Oh.
So I guess eastern Tennessee on the west to the coast, and then down through Florida. Yep. The Cherokee, the Muskogee, the Seminole, the Wyandot, the Lenape, the Potawatomi, who else was it? The Shawnee, the Chickasaw, and the Choctaw.
Mm-hmm.
About 60,000 people and they removed the outside of the ones that were up north, like the Wyandot and the Lenape.
Mm-hmm.
The ones from down south, those big five, the Cherokee, Muskogee, Choctaw, Seminole, and Chickasaw. Those guys were moved basically from the southeastern United States over towards Oklahoma, which I think it was 2020, there was a Supreme Court case that almost like technically that I think it ended up getting sorted out, but technically for a brief period gave half of Oklahoma back to the Cherokee.
Really?
It was something about jurisdiction. Like technically the Cherokee got back jurisdiction over most of Oklahoma in terms of law enforcement. And then they ended up fixing it. But everyone was like, wait, what? Did we accidentally just...
Yeah.
Like, that's going to cause problems?
It was essentially a clerical error that they were like, wait a second.
Yeah, major clerical error. But yeah, so this was 60,000 people who got moved from their homeland over to the west. Then continuously were shuffled further west. Jackson pitched it as being pro-native, that this was a way to prevent them from annihilation at the hands of the state militias and defense forces. Gotta remember, in 1830, the way the military worked was a lot different, and states basically provided their own armies to the federal cause. They would get called up by the... people forget, I think, or are not really well informed, I guess, in the first place. The American military, as we know it, didn't really form until after World War I.
Really? It was that late?
What you would do is you would have expeditionary forces that got called up. So you'd have small professional armies, but that was typically like because the country was just constantly at war somewhere.
Yeah.
So you had these small professional armies that would then, in a time of like a major war, like Spanish-American War, World War I, Mexican-American War, you'd call up large groups. You'd call basically all of the National Guard units. They weren't in that form yet, but that was how it worked. For example, if you look at some of the more famous regiments from World War I, they're like the 28th and 29th Infantry. Like those are Pennsylvania and Virginia National Guard. It wasn't until World War II that you started to see like that standing professional army.
Yeah.
And that has obviously continued up into the present day. We also just had no reason to have that pre-World War I because we were not fighting with Europe ever.
Not directly, anyway.
Well, Spain, but we did that here.
Yeah.
The Monroe Doctrine. Better days, Aiden.
I do, but I am entertained by the fact that like we wouldn't get like having just finished that Jefferson book, you know, the Napoleonic War. We didn't directly get involved. But we did put pressure on both England and France to posture ourselves in a better position where it was like...
I'm playing both sides, so I always come out on top.
Exactly. Like, I love the fact that we essentially, like, squeezed Bonaparte to the point where he was like, we didn't give him help, so when he needed arms and stuff, he needed cash.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, you could sell us Louisiana, and you could have money. And the whole point for it was because he wanted to take New Orleans. And we were like, sure, you can, but you're not going to have a lot of good trade there.
Yep.
But if you give it to us, you can have the money for guns against England.
We also got in trouble for allowing trade to take place in our harbors.
Yep.
Britain was like, your harbors are really becoming a problem for us over the last 50 years. We were like, interesting.
Shame.
And then our harbors became a problem for Japan.
Yep. Well, yeah. Well, then I love that bit because at the same time, England was like capturing American merchant vessels, trying to find people who they were trying to impress into their navy. And if people resisted, they just blow the ship out of the water. But we didn't have a navy at the time. And we were like, you can't do that. And they were like, try me. And they were like, okay. So we built a bunch of navy ships. We were like, we tried it. Like, you messed around. You're about to find out. And they did. And that's how we lived.
Float around and find out.
Yes.
Yeah, that is one of my favorite little facts about post-revolution is that the United States had the second largest merchant fleet in the world.
Yep.
And no navy.
Yep.
So they're just like, this is a problem.
Yep.
We need a Marine Corps.
Yep. They were all like, we really should get a navy. John Paul Jones should do it. He's a lunatic. Okay.
But, okay, the greatest American generals have always been the lunatics.
Oh my God,
like, Mad Anthony Wayne.
Yeah.
MacArthur,
Yep.
let's bomb the 38th parallel, like, with nuclear weapons. The man wanted to drop 50 nukes on the Chinese border, which, to be fair, would have worked.
Yes. I just love it's like
It also would have been a significant problem.
I'm gonna portray everyone else in the administration at the time. You're gonna portray MacArthur. Okay, sir. So I think the best course of action is that we really need to go through as many routes of diplomacy as possible.
Or we create a giant moat with nukes.
And scene.
Literally the idea.
Yep.
It is insane. What?
Patton.
Oh, that was Patton crazy though.
He was a bit off the wall.
Yeah. Let's see. Grant was an alcoholic.
Yeah. I love that he didn't drink during his presidency though.
Mhm.
But he like openly admits in his memoirs, he's like, yeah, I just knew it. I knew I couldn't.
Yeah.
But like, I also didn't want to be president.
Yeah.
It was kind of the same thing as Washington, where like he sorely didn't want to be president, but because he had worked his way up, like Grant's story is great to me because he consistently ends up doing things he didn't want to do. Like he was forced into West Point when he didn't want to go, and then when he was there, he was like, I just want to teach math, and they're like, no, you're gonna fight. And he's like, fine, and he keeps like getting promoted when he doesn't want to. Then he ends up being the head of the Union Army, and then he wins, and Lincoln dies, and everybody's like, you need to be president. And he's like, do I have to really? And there he goes. They're like, who else is going to reconstruct it? He's like, literally anyone. But yeah.
Anyway, back to the Indian Removal Act.
Yep.
Jackson was concerned that these state armies and militias would decide to take matters into their own hands.
Yeah.
And so they offered a land exchange where the natives would give up all of their ancestral, very, well-cultivated, fertile land in, in the just west of the Appalachians.
Mm-hmm.
And they would get the beautiful new plains of Oklahoma.
You guys remember when Tiger King came out?
Yeah, that's Oklahoma.
Yeah. Anyway.
So, it was phrased as a land exchange. In reality, it was a forced migration. That was the 1830s. Surely, we've moved on. Except that in 1954, the Congress terminated the tribal rights of the Klamath Native Americans, and they had to fight to get them back for 32 years. So even if it's not specifically that it was the Cherokee or something like that, like, it took until 1986 for the government to kind of knock it off.
Yeah.
And now primarily the disputes are over things like the Keystone XL pipeline, but that was a dispute between like a private oil company and the Sioux Native Americans.
I do find it interesting that modern equivalencies of royalty are just large corporations.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are to the new lords and counts and kings and all that.
Yeah. Isn't it great?
Yeah.
I love hierarchies. I'm having so much fun in this hierarchy of ours.
Those silly, goofy things that just keep popping up that can't go away.
I get it. It is a natural function of humanity, but
But
why do I have to keep living through major historical events? I am 25. I feel like I've been through enough.
wait until the war.
It's not even a joke. Like I'm sure at some point we're overdue.
Yep.
We're about probably 50 years overdue.
Yep.
Oh god, I'm scared of the future. But yeah, my point is, well into the 1980s, there was still tomfoolery. There's still much more minor tomfoolery.
Yep.
But the tide does seem to be turning, which is good because we're seeing things like Supreme Court cases that are fixing those jurisdictional issues. We are seeing presidential task force being created. We are seeing Hollywood start to tackle the problem. It's starting to look better.
Yep.
But that momentum kind of needs to keep going. It can't be allowed to fade into the background. And I think that is what's been so important about, the influencer side of things, is that you've got people who are talking about true crime and missing persons cases and things like that, and then they're able to take these other very real stories that don't get nearly as much coverage and say, hey, we need to talk about this.
Yep.
So that's been a great thing from the space. But the reason it's important, you might look at the raw numbers and think, oh, well, that's really not that many people. For example, I think it's 5,712 women were reported missing.
Yep.
Native American women were reported missing in 2016. 116 of them were actually recorded by the federal government.
Yeah, not enough.
That is not enough. And when you look into the further statistics, it's not just a lack of recorded data, it is a distinctly lopsided racial crime.
Yep.
Most violent crime, is intraracial. It's usually that white people are victimizing white people, black people are victimizing black people, Latinos are victimizing Latinos. Part of that is proximity. People tend to commit crimes against people who are near them, and due to the United States history, a lot of the country is, communities tend to be majority one race.
Yep.
It's not always white, but you'll see majority black communities, majority Hispanic, majority Asian, majority white.
Yep.
With Native American women who are reporting violent crimes against them, 97% of them report being victimized by a non-native. Okay, there's not that many natives. There's a lot more people who aren't. Those people typically don't live in the communities that these natives live in.
Mm-hmm.
They might live within the same county, but they're not typically on the reservation, part of the tribal community.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the jurisdictional issues, those crimes don't get investigated. Until 2013, Native police could not prosecute non-natives, because they would have to get that person back onto the reservation to prosecute them. They could not go and extradite. They couldn't talk to the state police and say, hey, we have evidence that this person committed this crime. We need you to bring them to us so we can try them.
Mm-hmm.
Which, across the United States, that's typically how it works. If I commit a crime in Colorado and then I drive over the border into New Mexico, I can be extradited to Colorado. New Mexico will probably cooperate with Colorado.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're necessarily required to.
I think, from my recollection, and I could be wrong on this, I do believe that if it is a federal crime, it obviously applies across state borders.
Yeah.
But beyond that, it is very departmentally or state regulatorily, kind of.
It really depends on the crime.
Gray.
If you're in California, if you're a Californian, you go to, Alabama and get caught with weed and then flee back to California, California's probably not going to extradite you to Alabama.
Yeah.
If you kill somebody, California will probably extradite you back to Alabama. It depends how big a deal the crime was.
Yeah.
A non-violent crime, you're probably not going to get extradited. A warrant might be out for your arrest in Alabama, but it's probably not going to get picked up.
If you go back to Alabama, good luck, but...
Yeah. They aren't going to go out of their way to extradite for non-violent offenses. Although they apparently do it for Grand Theft Auto, because we've had two different people we've talked about now, Marshall Applewhite and Charles Manson, who both got in trouble for driving a stolen vehicle across state lines. So it seems to be the felony issue.
Yeah, I was gonna say so it's misdemeanor versus felony.
Yes, that seems to be kind of the division, the important line there.
That makes sense. Is for a lot of reasons.
But yeah, so just to give some quick statistics on this from the National Institute of Justice, compared to white women, Native American women are 20% more likely to experience violence. 97% of Native American women who are victims experience interracial aggression. 35% experience intraracial, which means that there is amongst all victims, there is nearly about a 60-point differential between basically every Native American woman who is assaulted, it's by a non-native. Almost every single one. And then a lot of them are also assaulted by natives, but like a third.
Yeah.
So clearly a discrepancy.
Yeah.
That is not an accounting error. That is not a, you know, there's no possibility for that just being, you know, a statistical anomaly.
Yep.
That is because people can get away with it.
Mm-hmm.
And these are the people who are caught. The people who, you know, report it.
Yep.
Another big part of the problem is that a lot of these women aren't just hurt, aren't just found dead. They're totally missing.
Mm-hmm.
And those people are likely victims of human trafficking. Native American women, because of the jurisdictional issues, are far less likely to have a legitimate investigation put into them. Native American tribes have far less resources than your average state police do.
Nope.
There's just, it's basically you know, free real estate for sex traffickers. Is they'll just come in and they'll swipe somebody off a reservation, bring them across the border, and then, you know, they could end up anywhere from Asia to Arabia.
Yep.
You never know. And these are people who, you know, they have no institutional power to come back home. There's nothing that can be done for them by their own people. And the U.S. government is, the natives are hesitant to ask the government for help, and the government is hesitant to devote resources to helping.
Yep.
You know, we've seen how much effort they put into even half the cases we look at. Like, it's, you know, in some cases they actually seem to be obfuscating and getting in the way and doing everything they can to prevent people from actually getting to the bottom of cases that involve white people, let alone, you know, a historically marginalized group.
Yep.
So, and also to just really quickly address this, because we got comments about it on the previous video, neither of us would be considered politically progressive. Like, I think we're pretty center.
Yeah. I mean, every time I take a political compass test, I'm pretty much right dead center.
Yeah. So this is not like us, you know, being on some sort of progressive race baiting crusade. This is just a legitimate problem that needs to be talked about. You know, before you go making it about politics in the comments, it's not about politics. You know, it's about a legitimate injustice.
Yeah. Just ethics, morality, and law. Like.
Yeah. Just wanted to make that clear. You know, before we have people trying to sling mud. Because, you know, this is a very real issue, and it affects a lot of people. You know, I think that the best way you can really understand what's going on is the cinematic portrayal in Wind River. You know, Wind River is a 3,000 square mile reservation. It's the 7th largest. That means there are 6 that are bigger than that. That is larger than 32 countries.
Mm-hmm.
These are country-sized communities that are being absolutely ravaged by crime they can't even prosecute. That's why it's important, is that we're not at the point where we're doing everything we can to help. We are still very much at the point where we know it's a problem, they know it's a problem, and nobody's doing anything about it.
Mm.
What happened with Gabby Petito is how basically every missing persons case should be handled. It should be national news, national attention. I guarantee you, if every single person that went missing got the kind of coverage Gabby got, far less cases would go unsolved. It might not lead to less deaths, but at the very least, it would lead to closure, to apprehending criminals, and through that, less deaths.
Yep.
If it actually became a crime that people had to seriously worry about, people scrutinizing every detail of it, then we could actually make a big difference about this.
Yep.
I think that's probably the most important way that people like us can help, is by amplifying these, by writing stories like Wind River. It's not a true story.
I mean, it's yeah.
But it's not a true story, but it's a true story.
Exactly. It's not based on a specific event that occurred, but it's an amalgamation it's a fictional portrayal of an amalgamation of a variety of different events that have and continue to occur on the Wind River Reservation and a lot of other places as a means to express a really heart-wrenching story and to, kind of like what you said in the initial video, portray an event or a series of events that need more attention.
Yeah. And for those, we have a whole synopsis of the film in Friday's video if you want to check that out. But more than anything, it's on Amazon Prime. You can rent it for $4.
Yeah.
It's about an hour 45 minutes long. Definitely a slower burn of a movie.
Yeah.
There's action, don't get me wrong, but it's not, you're not signing up for a Marvel movie.
No.
You're signing up for a suspense, a mystery. It's classified as a neo-Western. If you like Westerns, like if you've seen like Tombstone or what's the other one I watched recently? Bone Tomahawk. Movies like that are, sort of the not necessarily new. Tombstone's from the 90s, but not the 1950s and 60s Westerns. If you watch the newer ones,
mm-hmm.
You can really, it's that kind of movie.
Yeah.
Where it's slow burn, there's some action, good writing, good quality.
Yeah. It's a modern version of something like The Outlaw Josie Wales or even The Hateful Eight, but taking place in a current time.
And Jeremy Renner is fantastic.
Great. Yeah. So is Emily. Or Elizabeth Olsen.
Elizabeth Olsen. Yeah. And Taylor Sheridan just did an incredible job.
For those who may recognize that name, Wind River was essentially his test run for Yellowstone.
Mm-hmm.
So, and Yellowstone's another prime example of, seeing that rift between native and non-native individuals in Montana in that series. This is obviously in Wyoming. Another show, Longmire. It's based off the book series that has a lot of native versus non-native issues that are covered throughout that. Not necessarily as nuanced as something like Wind River or Yellowstone, partially just because of the lower budget, but overall some more examples of media that do a good job of portraying these issues in a way that it is compelling, interesting, and also respectful to the issue in a way that helps you understand it without being judgmental.
Yeah. Well, with that, it's 7:45 already.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Which means it's time for question time.
I'm in.
Which y'all know how this works. We will take super chats first. We will go until we'll go until 8 tonight.
Yeah.
Just because we are
very tired.
So tired.
Did we do
donation goals?
Yes.
I thought you had them on your computer.
We never finished them.
Ah. Well, the donation goals for this month are the magic of Christmas then.
Let's see how magic we can get us. Yeah, let me pull them up and see what we do have written.
Sounds like a good plan.
If anything.
I'm going to scroll through in here and see what we got for chats.
Wonderful.
All right. Amazing Talking Goat said, "Hi, Aidens. Thank you for talking about this. Love from the Métis in Northern Ontario, Canada." Thank you. We are glad that we're able to spread the word.
I told you we never knew. These are our donation goals for this month.
We're doing great.
Oh yeah.
Should plan those in advance from now on.
Yeah, we're batting 1,000 over here.
Yeah.
2023, whole new system, whole new year. We're redoing the processes here.
Looking at the chat right now, they're talking about Warner Brothers.
I did like someone. What did they say? Oh, we can't talk about Warner Brothers right now. I'm sorry, I can't talk about Warner Brothers right now.
Archie, come say hi to the people. Come on.
Come here. As someone who vehemently loves the character of Superman and all of the DC characters because that's what I grew up on, Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, all that stuff, incredible storytelling, chef's kiss. I cannot in good conscience go see a new DC movie for a little while.
just because of what they've done to my boy.
Look how they massacred my boy.
My boy! My
The
boy!
boy.
Yeah, it's horrible.
I
Warhammer, though.
Yeah, thank God.
A light in the darkness.
Oh, that poor man. Hopefully it frees him up for Bond, too.
What I'm pissed about is that now that, everyone's catching on as to why he left The Witcher's writing staff is, like, trying to cancel Henry Cavill. They're, like, they're making, like, all these vague accusations of him being, like, misogynist because he, like, wouldn't talk about his personal life on set and used gamer lingo.
He's literally the most uncancelable person in Hollywood.
Yeah,
No one has ever said
they made a
anything
big
other-
deal about the fact that he, like, wouldn't share his personal life with Millie Bobby Brown when they were working on Sherlock Holmes together, or Enola Holmes. They were like, why is he not, like, talking to his female co-stars? And everybody was like, because she was, like, 17 for most of filming.
Yeah.
Why would he talk about his personal
And he's
life
in his,
with
like,
a child?
mid-30s, yeah.
Like,
Like, if I was working with a child, like, you do the work and then you leave, because otherwise it's just weird.
Yeah, I was generally, like, I was looking over what people were saying, too, and it really, to me, just read like he was treating the women the exact same way he would treat men. Like,
Yeah.
it basically, they were like, he would criticize the decisions of the writers and try and get things changed last minute, like, with the directors and everything, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's because they were ignoring the plot, not because he was sexist. Like,
Yeah.
if he was like, if there were male writers and female writers, and he was only ever trying to get the female writers' work changed, then I'd see where you're coming from.
Yeah.
That might be something. But no, it's just when your writing room is almost entirely women, you're gonna have people criticizing something.
Also, like, from someone who is
Just like if it were entirely men, you'd have people criticizing it.
from someone who is like a little bit too much of a fan of Henry Cavill, any interview I've seen with him or about him.
I do consider you hetero-flexible as a result of Henry Cavill.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Any woman I've ever seen talk about him, whether he was in the same room or not, especially not in the same room, is that he's just nothing short of a gentleman.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a very respectable man. So,
I was not happy to be reading that stuff. I was like, come on, first of all, if you're gonna say stuff like this, it can't be vague.
no.
You gotta give me concrete examples. Are you licking yourself on my arm?
He is.
But yeah, it's gonna take nerds to save.
The gamer lingo, it's danger close to the gamer word. Wait, there was one comment earlier. Oh, it was when we were talking about the military. Somebody said military industrial complex go brr.
Yeah,
It
sure do.
It was after your war comment. I'm gonna turn the fan on a little higher.
Thank you. You know what's really gonna turn the fan on is the sexy calendar. Once we finally get to it, my giant case of bubbly arrived today.
Oh,
So I'm finally able to go back on that diet that I did that actually worked.
yeah.
It's so weird how you start to find stuff that, like, eventually works.
Oh, for me, it was just like chicken and romaine.
That's the thing is I can do that, but I get hungry. So the seltzers keep me full.
Yeah. For me,
I feel like-
coffee suppresses the appetite enough. I intermittent fast in the morning. Chicken and romaine for lunch. Chicken and romaine for dinner. Depending on how many calories I'm burning in the gym, I'll add in a protein shake or not.
A little bit more chicken and romaine in the protein shake.
Yeah, right.
Chicken and romaine smoothie.
It's just, for me, like, I would love to be able to have a more eclectic diet, but it's just,
You just throw the chicken Caesar salad into the blender.
yes. Well, for me, the biggest problem is that, like, I don't eat at home consistently enough because I have either leftovers my mom's giving me or just, like, I'm going out places, whether it's staying somewhere outside of home for work or whatever. So it's a really easy way. It's like, I know what it is. I know how quickly I can make it. I know how to make it consistently. It minimizes the amount of thought that has to go into that process.
Minimal thoughts, you say?
Yes. Taking a page out of the boys' playbook.
All right. We had a couple of chats in there we should get to.
Yes.
I think it was
Yeah,
that was the first.
I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
So Kellen the official for $9.99. Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good Yule and cyberbully the government.
You know it. We're never stopping cyberbullying the government.
Nope.
Remember, it is your duty to be mean to the ATF.
Is it your dude? Is it yours?
Archie's duty is to eat food and be cute.
Roberto
succeeding
Rodriguez
at both.
Jr. for $2 says, "Why do things always default to BS and red tape?" Great question.
Because BS and red tape is how you hide money.
Yeah.
Typically, the more regulation something has, typically the more corruption's going on. Because each regulation that you throw on something is just another place to take a tiny bit of money or get a bribe.
A kilo every 10 days is intense, dude.
A kilo of what?
Just like a kilogram.
Of
Losing
what?
a kilogram of weight every 10 days from using a recumbent bike
Isn't
while
that
playing.
isn't that like 2 pounds?
Yeah.
That's pretty standard. You can do that.
You can, but that's in terms
If
of
I
medically
just-
safe.
If I just cut to 1,500 calories a day, I would drop 2 pounds a week.
Yeah, but in terms of medically safe,
Mm.
in terms of like your body
Yeah.
function still
Yeah.
forming, like that's about the high end of what you should shoot for.
Yeah.
If you're getting more than 2 pounds every week or so, you're
Nah,
not.
you gotta go with one of those 70s crash diets of like a rotisserie chicken and a bottle of wine.
Or no, pull the Christian Bale for the machinist of just like one cracker and a bottle of Jack Daniels a day.
Oh.
That's what he did.
Why?
Because he's a lunatic.
For Batman, did he also just become a vigilante?
No, but he did work out a lot, eat a lot, and get huge.
That's true. He did get huge.
He got so big that Christopher Nolan was like, "Hey, you can't get that big for The Dark Knight. That was too much."
That was too big.
He was like, my
You
take
were too thick.
He was literally like, my take is supposed to be realistic, and Bale's like, what do you mean I'm not realistic?
I am physically here.
I did it.
Also, my take is physically realistic. Have you seen Bane?
Yeah, right.
Dark Knight Rises. I still haven't seen that movie.
I was. So Tom can do that, but this is
Is
too
he
much.
British?
Christian Bale? Oh,
I
yeah.
had no idea he was British.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Well, why did we cast him as an American hero?
Because he did really good in Psycho.
Yeah, but Batman in real life was American. The real Batman
Yeah, well,
was...
Superman is too, but Henry Cavill's British as hell.
I mean, the real person these characters are based off of.
Wait, what?
What? Are you telling me that these are not real people?
I can't.
I can't.
I remember the Thanos snap. It happened. That's why I can't remember any of 2020.
See, your instinct, the Thanos snap. Mine is the Flashpoint paradox, which actually is real, considering the Flash has ruined DC. Because he decided
I'm
to be a
still not
lunatic.
over the interview where he says, "I'm criminally excited to be playing the Flash."
Why did you have to do this to us?
Ezra, my guy.
DC already had enough problems. You didn't
Why didn't
need to
they-
be another.
Why didn't they just use the guy who plays him on TV?
You know what's funny? But they had them in the Flashpoint thing
Mhm.
on TV.
Mm-hmm.
Ezra made a cameo into that universe because DC's multiverse thing is way more prominent than Marvel's,
Mm-hmm.
as far as I understand. But yeah,
Although I don't know how the Flash was when it started, but I saw like clips from like the more recent seasons, and it looks like Power Rangers if Power Rangers was worse.
the only CW
And I will never slander Power Rangers.
the only CW show in relation to the DC content that I enjoy at this point, and this is not just because I'm a fan of that character.
Mhm.
I liked the first couple seasons of Arrow, then it fell off.
Didn't they make it more about like his relationship?
Yeah. Didn't love Supergirl. Didn't watch much of it. Didn't watch much of The Flash. Didn't love that. Didn't watch any of the... There was a team show. I can't remember what it was. Superman and Lois is shot so beautifully. It literally, like, when they dropped the trailer for that a couple
Mhm.
years ago, I was like, when did the CW get an HBO budget?
Yeah, that's...
Like, it looks like that, and the writing's actually really solid.
I do get confused by the CW though, because it seems like after 5 seasons they just don't care
Yeah.
about anything. They're like, we're just gonna roll with this, and I guess CW's viewers put up with it.
I mean, look at Riverdale.
I would prefer not to.
I don't watch Riverdale, but I follow the people who act in it on TikTok, and I love it because even they're like, "What's going on?"
So you'll never know the highs and lows of the
Stop.
epic highs and lows of
Stop.
high school football.
Stop. It's so funny though, because they're just like,
I saw a clip of like, you know, how they portray football games, and I was just like, not a single person in this shot has ever stepped foot on a football field in their entire life.
Nope.
Like, not even flag.
nope.
Like, these people were allergic to athletics. If you look at, that's the crazy thing. Is like, if you look at the way a lot of these actors run,
Mhm.
go and actually, like, whatever movie you're watching, if there's a scene where the actors have to run, pay attention to it.
Yep.
It is the funniest part of any movie. Is these people who typically were not athletes, because a lot of them were more into like the theater side of things. They have no idea how to move their bodies
Oh, yeah.
to do physically exerting things. Tom Cruise, what's he doing? He's like
But he is fast.
Steven Seagal's like,
It is funny though because like, sports ability is so not correlated. Like athleticism is not correlated with either being in good shape.
mhm.
Because like I've known some people who were really into bodybuilding who, when you tried to get them to throw any form of ball, had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah.
And like when they ran, it was like, who taught you to run? Who didn't teach you to run?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas like you know, you and I, we played a lot of sports growing up, partially because we were forced to.
Mhm.
But I know at my high school especially, I mean like in
I can
grade
still go straight into a sprint. Like,
Yeah.
from standing.
sick.
Like-
But like at my high school, it was like one of the things that they did was not just with sports and like practicing for sports, but we had trainers at
Mhm.
our school, and they taught us like the basics of mobility, and we did like mobility drills and weightlifting, and they taught us like you know, general nutrition and things like that. But it was very, very like comprehensive athleticism training and understanding. Granted, I know that's on like an extreme side of the spectrum, but it's just funny.
I did see one in there about Steven Seagal. Maybe we should do a Steven Seagal lore video.
Yeah, somebody said so. There's so much to talk about Steven Seagal. That we should.
There's enough lore.
We really like,
Just start doing lore on living people.
yeah, or just like anything.
We're gonna get sued. Just slip something that's blatantly untrue, like utterly innocuous,
Yeah,
but definitely slander.
like Steven Seagal forced a banana harvesting company to go bankrupt in Colombia because he kept eating all of the bananas that they were trying to sell.
See, the problem is that is a completely believable story.
I
Like,
know,
this
but
is-
that's great. Norberto Rodriguez Jr. for $2 says we need Cosmic Ghost Rider.
Isn't that just Ghost Rider?
I don't know.
I don't think I've ever seen Ghost
I
Rider.
think he wants to come back up. You haven't. We need to watch Willy's Wonderland with.
Let's just watch every Nick Cage movie ever made. Why
Yes. Yes.
not?
Yes.
We do not leave until we've seen them all.
And I still haven't seen. Idea. I haven't seen. The. What is it? The unbearable weight of.
These nuts.
No. An unreasonable amount of talent or whatever it is.
Oh yeah, the new one where he plays himself.
Yes.
I want to see that.
Come on. Come on. Come on.
You're gonna have to lift him. He seems to be having some confidence issues.
She is. We all have them. Are you gonna squeal if I do?
He might squeal. Archie, no squeal.
Do you want to come up or no?
He does. He just there we go.
There we
there
go.
We go.
Attaboy.
He is so fluffy.
He really
Look
is.
at that man on camera. He
You are
is the
such a
fluffiest boy.
He's such a hubble.
National Treasure should have been a documentary.
It was.
Basically. Listen, they actually kind of nailed basically everything they said about Freemasonry in that movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Nice.
It's okay, so you guys want to know something silly?
Silly Goofy.
Was that Warner Brothers?
I don't know.
Whoever made National Treasure, they went to the Grand Lodge of Pennsylvania
Mm-hmm.
and said, "We will give you $50,000 a day to let us shoot at the Masonic Temple in Philadelphia."
Mm-hmm.
The Grand Lodge turned it down because they thought that it was stupid. National Treasure went on to cause the biggest spike in registration for Freemasonry since the 1800s.
That's awesome.
It could have been like
So sweet.
If you ask almost
Disney?
anybody, was it that? Yeah, I think it was. That makes sense.
Wow.
If you ask almost anybody who became a Freemason after the 2000s,
Mm-hmm.
they will almost invariably tell you that their interest began with National Treasure. Unless they had family,
Mm-hmm.
it is almost always National Treasure that is the reason.
Why did you want to become a Freemason?
I watched National
I
Treasure.
want to steal the Declaration of Independence.
I was literally like sitting there watching National Treasure with the boys.
Hmm.
And I was like, this is kind of cool. I wonder what this is about.
And there it is.
And now we sacrifice goats on weekends. It's great.
That's not what you do. Don't tell people that's what you do, because they'll start thinking that's what you do. And then you're going to get canceled.
Oh, boy. It's not really a sacrifice. It's more of a, like, goat fighting ring.
Apparently Elon Musk is now asking on a poll on Twitter whether he should stay in charge of Twitter.
He is a man of the people.
I gotta give him props for asking and being willing to...
Like, if they say no and he stays, is that based?
Probably not.
I can't decide.
I feel like that's just a bit tyrannical at that point.
Why are you barking? You are a small creature.
He is a small boy.
Small but not insignificant.
The best.
There he goes. There he is. He is most certainly baby.
Yes, he is.
The new one is good. The new what? National Treasure?
There's a new
There isn't
one.
one. Is there a National Treasure 3? I know they were making a TV show and Nick Cage wasn't in it, and I was like, I do not accept this.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
This animal is so cute.
He's adorable.
I love him so much. Alright. But it is 8:05. We have gone past our intended runtime. I think they did say National Treasure 3 is in the works, but...
Is Edge of History the show?
I think so.
Okay.
Edging history? Hey, yo.
Hey, yo!
Yeah, but that's I think that's the show for tonight.
I mean, yeah, I think you're right, but...
If there's no more questions, yeah?
Yeah, nothing I'm seeing. It was a bit
Thank
more...
you for giving me an excuse to not study for finals. Well, don't say that.
Yeah, come on, go study.
Come on, get good grades. Don't be like Archie.
It sucks
Archie got
now.
terrible grades.
It sucks now, but what would suck more is not doing well in your finals, not caring, and then not being able to change that outcome later.
Especially if it's college, because then you're paying for those.
Yep. And you don't want to have to pay more to then just go back and prove that you were capable the first time. You just didn't apply yourself.
All right. And do you want to hit the stream ending button because
Yeah.
I'm
You
busy.
have the boy.
Thank you everybody for watching. We will not see you next weekend because
No.
it is Christmas.
Yes.
I might do like a little fun stream Monday or Saturday, but no full Lore Lodge.
If it's Saturday, I will not be around
Okay.
because I'll be at a family.
You'll be out of
Christmas.
family.
Yes.
Is it yours?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's acceptable then.
Yeah, I'll be. Oh?
Well, I don't know if it was someone else's family. That would be a little weird.
No, it depends on whose family.
I was thinking somebody random.
No, I was thinking yours.
Oh.
We'll see you later.
Bye, guys. Our hands almost touched.
They did. Now they did. Oh. Oh.
Ah.